Have you ever had the same thing happen to you over and over again? Different people, different situations, different years, but somehow the same exact outcome, the same kind of relationship that ends the same way, the same opportunity that falls apart at the same point, the same argument that keeps replaying with different faces, the same door that keeps closing no matter how many times you approach it. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet thought surfaces. Why does this keep happening to me? What if I told you that question is one of the most important questions you will ever ask, and the universe has been waiting for you to finally sit still long enough to hear the answer? Don't go anywhere. This one is going to change how you see everything. Let's be real about what this pattern actually feels like from the inside. It starts with hope. It always starts with hope. A new chapter opens, a new job, a new relationship, a new city, a new version of yourself that you're determined to build. And you tell yourself this time is different. You've learned, you've grown, you know better now. And for a while, it is different. The energy is fresh, the optimism is real, but then, slowly, quietly, familiar territory starts to appear. The same red flags you ignored before, wearing new colors. The same dynamic you swore you were done with, just dressed up in a new face. The same crossroads you've stood at before, with the same pull toward the same wrong direction, and you follow it, again. And when it collapses, again, the pain is different this time. It's not just heartbreak or disappointment. It's something deeper and more destabilizing. It's the pain of recognition, the horrifying feeling of, I have been here before. I did this to myself. Again. That shame is heavy, because it doesn't just hurt, it makes you question your own intelligence, your own judgment. How could someone who has been through this before fall into the exact same trap? And so the stories start. I'm cursed. I'm broken. I attract the wrong things. Maybe I'm just not meant to have what I want. Maybe there's something fundamentally wrong with me. Or, the other extreme, you blame everything outside you. Bad luck, bad timing, bad people. The universe is against you. Life is unfair. Nothing ever works out. Both of those responses feel like explanations. But neither of them is the truth. The truth is harder to face, but it is also the most liberating thing I can offer you today. The pattern is not happening to you, the pattern is happening through you. And the universe and God has been sending you the same message through every repetition, trying to get your attention, trying to redirect you towards something you have not yet been willing to see. You have not been unlucky, you have been unaware. And awareness, real, honest, courageous awareness, is the key that breaks every cycle. In the Quran, God says something extraordinary in chapter 13, verse 11. Indeed, God will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. Read that carefully. God does not change your external circumstances first. He changes them in response to an internal shift, which means if the external circumstances keep repeating, if the pattern keeps showing up, it is a direct signal that the internal shift has not yet happened. The universe is not punishing you with repetition, it is teaching you with it. This is the law of lessons, one of the most precise and relentless laws governing human experience. It states simply, a lesson will repeat until it is learned, not just understood intellectually, truly learned, integrated, embodied, acted upon. The universe does not grade on partial credit. You cannot think your way through the lesson, you cannot journal your way through it, or talk about it in therapy, or make a vision board around it. You have to actually change your choices, your patterns, your responses, your boundaries, your self concept before the cycle breaks. And here's the thing that most people miss, the lesson is almost never about the other person. It is almost never about the circumstance. It is always, always about something inside you that needs to be healed, shifted, or released. The person who keeps attracting dishonest relationships, the lesson is rarely about finding honest people. It is usually about learning to trust their own instincts over their need for connection, about learning that loneliness is safer than betrayal, about healing the wound that makes unavailable people feel familiar. The person whose opportunities keep collapsing right before the finish line, the lesson is rarely about bad luck. It is usually about a deep, unconscious fear of success, a belief buried underneath the ambition that says, I don't actually deserve this. If I get too close, I will be exposed. The person who keeps ending up in the same financial cycle. The lesson is rarely about income. It is usually about a relationship with worthiness, with security, with whether they fundamentally believe they are allowed to have enough. God, in His infinite mercy, will not let you skip the lesson, not because He enjoys your struggle, but because He knows that a person who has not learned the lesson cannot hold the breakthrough. The breakthrough would be wasted on the unlearned version of you, or worse, it would cause damage. So, He sends the lesson again, in a new wrapper, with a new face, but with the same core teaching, and He will keep sending it, not out of cruelty, but out of love, until the day you finally stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to show me?" That shift from victim to student is the most powerful thing a human being can do. In chapter 3, verse 190, God says, "Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of the night and the day, are signs for those of understanding." Signs. The entire creation is full of signs. The alternation of seasons, signs. The way rivers find the ocean despite every obstacle, signs. The patterns in your own life, signs. But the verse specifies, for those of understanding, not for those who are too busy, too distracted, too defended to look, for those who are willing to pause, to observe, to think deeply about what they're being shown. The pattern in your life is a sign, a message written specifically for you in the language of your own lived experience. And God is asking you today, are you someone of understanding? Are you willing to read the sign? Because the moment you do, the moment you genuinely receive the message the pattern has been carrying, the pattern loses its power. It has delivered its lesson. It no longer needs to repeat. This is how cycles break. Not through willpower, not through trying harder at the same thing, through illumination, through seeing clearly, through the kind of honest self-examination that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Here is how you actually read the signs and break the cycle. 3 concrete shifts starting today. Shift 1. Become a pattern investigator in your own life. This requires honesty that most people are not willing to offer themselves, but it is the foundation of everything. Take out a piece of paper, not your phone, actual paper, and draw 3 columns. In the first column, write down the recurring situations in your life, the patterns that keep showing up, relationships that end the same way, opportunities that stall at the same point, conflicts that follow the same script. In the second column, for each pattern, write, "What is the common denominator?" and be ruthlessly honest. In every version of this pattern, across every person and every situation, what is the one constant? More often than not, the honest answer will be uncomfortable. The common denominator is you, not because you are bad, but because you are the thread that runs through every version of the story. In the third column, write what belief, fear, or wound could be driving this, because every pattern has a root. Every repeated external experience has an internal origin: fear of abandonment, a need for control, a belief that you are not enough, a wound from childhood that never fully healed. Something in there is casting the same shadow across every chapter of your life. You do not have to solve it in one sitting, but naming it, honestly without judgment, is the beginning of its end. Shift 2. Change your response before you try to change the outcome. Most people try to break patterns by controlling the external, finding different people, different environments, different circumstances, and they are confused when the pattern follows them there. That is because the pattern lives inside you, not outside you, and it will keep manifesting externally until something changes internally. So the next time you feel yourself in familiar territory, the same pull, the same dynamic, the same crossroads, pause before you respond the way you always respond, even for 60 seconds. Interrupt the automatic reaction. Ask yourself, what would the healed, whole version of me do right now? Not the wounded version, not the version acting from fear or habit or the need for approval, the version that has learned the lesson. What would that person choose? Then choose that, even if it is uncomfortable, even if it goes against every instinct, because your instincts in that moment are the pattern trying to perpetuate itself. Every time you make a different choice at the familiar crossroads, you weaken the pattern by 1 degree. Enough different choices, and the pattern dissolves entirely. Shift 3. Ask God specifically to reveal what you cannot see. This is the prayer that changes everything. Not fix this situation, but show me what I'm missing. Show me what's in me that keeps creating this. Give me the courage to see clearly and the strength to change. That prayer requires humility. It requires willingness to be wrong about yourself. It requires letting go of the comfort of blaming circumstances and stepping into the responsibility of authorship. But it is the prayer that God answers, because in Surah 29:69 he says, "And those who strive for us, we will surely guide them to our ways." Striving here is not just effort, it is the internal effort of honest self examination, of choosing growth over comfort, of being willing to be transformed. When you strive inwardly, God guides. When you ask to see clearly, He illuminates. When you're ready to receive the lesson, He ensures it is delivered. Start this practice tonight. Before you sleep, sit quietly and ask, "What is the pattern in my life right now showing me? What am I being asked to change? What do I need to release?" Then listen, not for a dramatic voice, for a quiet knowing, a nudge, a memory that surfaces, an honest thought you've been pushing away. That quiet knowing, that is your answer. Here is what I want to leave with you today. The patterns in your life are not evidence of a curse. They are not proof that you are broken or unlovable or destined for struggle. They are not God abandoning you to a cycle you can never escape. They are messages, precise, personal, compassionate messages from a God who knows you deeply enough to speak to you in the language of your own experience. Every repeated lesson is God saying, "I see something in you that is ready to be healed, and I love you too much to let you bypass it." The moment you shift from asking, "Why does this keep happening to me?" to, "What is this teaching me?" everything changes, not immediately, not all at once, but fundamentally, because you have stopped fighting the lesson and started receiving it. And a person who receives the lesson, the pattern no longer has anything to deliver. It dissolves, the cycle breaks. The door that kept closing swings open, not because your circumstances changed, because you changed. Allah does not waste a single experience in the life of a believer, not one. Every repetition, every difficulty, every confusing detour was carrying something you needed, a strength, a clarity, a healing, a wisdom that you could not have developed any other way. Trust the process. Read the signs. Do the inner work. Your patterns are not your prison, they are your path to freedom.